So I think most people in the modern day, especially younger people, deal with, anxiety, deal with stress. And obviously older people do too. I'm not saying they don't. But I've noticed this, especially in the younger generation, is like everyone's so damn anxious. I don't know if it's from the phones. I don't know if that's just, we're more susceptible to it since we grow up kind of in that social media area. But in this video, I want to talk about one habit that changed my entire life. And yes, I'm not going to, drag this video on and make you guess what it is. I'm going to tell you straight up what it is and explain why. So this one habit that changed my entire life, it's going to be more of like a philosophy, but it's also a habit. But that habit is, drumroll, emotionally detaching from the outcome. Let me explain. So a lot of people stress about a lot of different things, and I still do too. But the habit of emotionally detaching from the outcome has helped me a lot in my life. I first got this saying or this, phrase from a guy actually called Trent Dressel. He's a tech sales account executive, and he has a YouTube channel. And I don't watch him anymore, but I used to watch him back in 2022 when I was trying to break into tech sales. And he talked about how instead of worrying if like a prospect is going to show up to a sales meeting, instead of worrying if this cold call is going to go well, instead of worrying if this deal is going to close, instead of worrying that if they're in their buying budget or in their buying cycle, just emotionally detach from the outcome and control the inputs, make those cold calls, do what you have to do, etc. So, this is what it actually means, right? It doesn't mean apathy. It doesn't mean not caring about anything. It just means to focus on the inputs, not clinging to the results, right? All the all-time, great athletes, like LeBron James, Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, Conor McGregor, all these guys that we know, all these all-time great athletes, right? I guarantee you that they would tell you that they trained their ass off, they studied, and they worked extremely hard. And yes, did they manifest or did they envision themselves being champions? Sure, but they focused on the inputs, right? So the key isn't necessarily not to try hard, but it's just to let go, right? So you're still intentional. You still care, but you don't let the result define your identity and your emotional state, right? Imagine you're an archer pulling back on a bow and arrow. They train, they aim, they do everything that's in their control. But once the arrow is released, the wind takes over. And that's life, right? You're the archer, right? You train and you hone your skills, you hone your precision, and that's fine. But if you obsess over where the arrow lands, you'll ruin your form. But if you focus on the shot, over time, you will get better results without the burnout. And I noticed this especially in sales. For a lot of people that have been around this channel, that I work in sales, and it's something that I like to talk about a lot. And when I first started in sales, I was gripping to the outcome so tight, right? I would take rejection personal. And the thing is, I'm not saying that I'm fully immune to this now, but I've improved a lot, and I'm hitting my number and quite frankly crushing my number more not because I'm necessarily working harder, because funny enough, I'm actually probably working less hours than I was in my last role, but I'm more efficient, I'm more intentional, and I focus on the inputs. So for people that work in sales, right, a lot of times you get anxiety before you rip some cold calls, but once you start calling and you get your first couple no's of the day, you feel invincible and you can keep going. And the thing is, I'm not saying that I never ever think of the result. Obviously I'm going to get dopamine if someone books a meeting or someone wants to, hop on a demo. Obviously that's going to make me feel good, and I'll make even more commission off of that. But the thing is, I'm not obsessing over the result as much as I was when I first started, right? I'm not obsessing over the 10 meetings a month or the 12 meetings a month that you or I might have to achieve. I'm obsessing over the inputs. How many emails do I have to send to book a meeting? How many calls result in how many answer rates, and how many answers talking to someone in my ICP is going to result in me booking a sales qualified meeting, right? What's my show rate? I'm reverse engineering everything, and I'm thinking from a tactical standpoint. This, at the time of this recording, this channel is titled Level Up Strategy. It could be titled something different, but I'm a big believer in strategy and optimizing your process with everything in life. So I first noticed this in sales because when I would cold call someone or just call someone, whatever, if they were mean to me, or like they hung up on me. Like, obviously it doesn't feel good to get hung up on, but like I would take it personally and I would get super pissed. But like, quite frankly, like I don't like getting cold called either. You know what I'm saying? Like, so trust me, like I get it. I get it. But like I would take it personally. And the thing is, it's not personal at all. It's probably not a fit. They're probably in the middle doing some stuff. And like, you're just some dude who called them. Like, it's not personal at all. There's so many times when I would call someone and like they hung up on me, or like they weren't interested, and I call them back 6 months later and they take a meeting, or like they respond to my email and they take a meeting. It's happened so many times. It's actually crazy. And I stopped caring whether they booked or not. I stopped caring about if they took the meeting or not. I just called more people, or I sent more emails, and I was more strategic and intentional about my outreach. So I was still filling up my pipeline either way, right? And even with relationships, like I've noticed a lot, like obviously with, the dynamic between men and women, and I'm just speaking from a guy's perspective, like I don't give a crap what anyone says. Most guys think similar, right? Like they want a girl that's emotionally and physically exclusive to them. They want them to, be able to call that girl theirs, and they don't want their girl out there talking to other dudes. Like it's pretty straightforward. And like, quite frankly, I don't really care what anyone says, because if you truly love a girl, you're not going to want her out there doing a bunch of BS. And I've noticed that, obviously, don't waste your time talking to low-quality women. But if you find a high-quality woman, you shouldn't really need to, like, tell her what to do or, like, try to control her. Like, just emotionally detach from the outcome, focus on you, and she shouldn't want to do that stuff anyway. And I've noticed that when you overthink in a relationship and you try to, like, tell a girl to do this, or, like, you try to, like, get her to think a certain way, it honestly, a lot of times will just push her farther away, right? Like, just don't, I'm not saying you don't care about her. Obviously, you want to care about her, but don't focus so much about, like, what could happen, or, like, oh, she could cheat on me, or, like, oh, she did this, and, like, that's a red flag, so, like, I have to bring something up. Like, it's just going to make you more anxious. And honestly, like, if she's going to cheat on you, she's going to cheat on you. I think a lot of people overlook, like, a lot of different things. Like, yes, are there a lot of low quality women out there? There sure are. But at the end of the day, like men don't cheat or women don't cheat. It's just crappy and shitty people cheat. And like, if a girl's gonna do that to you, like, nothing you say is gonna stop her, right? Like, you see these videos on Instagram of, like, dudes, and like they take their girl to a concert, and like the girl's going up on the stage and, like, twerking her crap, like, on the dancer, and like kissing them and stuff. Like, bro, like, come on. Like, you should have been able to know that your girl was going to do that before you even put yourself in that situation. Like, my girl would never do that. I know that for a fact. And like, you shouldn't be with a woman in the first place if she would do that. So it's like, don't overthink. Just be selective with who you date. Choose a high quality woman, and don't, like, stress about that stuff, because, like, literally 99% of the things you're stressing about in your relationship probably won't happen. And like I said, if they do cheat on you, then guess what? You can move on with your life, and you can find someone who won't do that, and you can just, like I said, move on with your life, and your life will be better without them. So at the end of the day, like, just emotionally detach from the outcome. If that person doesn't take a sales meeting, or if they hang up on you, who cares? If your girl cheats on you, like, obviously I'm not saying it's not going to hurt at the time, but, like, honestly, don't worry about it. Do not worry about it. It doesn't help, because you worrying about it just makes things worse, because you're anxious, and then you're starting more arguments, and then she's not feeling good, right? Like, it's a chain reaction. And I used to think that, my happiness depended on hitting my goals, or like depended on how many meetings I could book, or depended on like how great my relationship was that particular day. But, it's, I would link it to how or what I was achieving, but like, honestly, it's all about how you just show up in general, right? It's about what you're doing, controlling the inputs, right? Whether the goal happens or not, that's just extra. And I think at the end of the day, there's a lot of people out there right now that are struggling, and there's a lot of people that are dealing with a lot of different things in their life, whether it's career related or relationship related. I mean, people are getting laid off all the time. People are getting broken up with or cheated on. Like, I understand there's a lot of hard stuff going on out there. People might be dealing with some serious health issues, things of that nature, but you just need to control the inputs and emotionally detach from the outcome of said inputs. There's nothing wrong with honing your process. Like, if you're doing set inputs and it's not yielding any results, okay, like, you should probably reevaluate the process for sure. You should reevaluate the inputs. But like I said, if you're doing the inputs and doing what you're supposed to do, like deep down, truly knowing what you're supposed to do, then I emotionally detached from the outcome at the end of the day. Because if you do what you know you're supposed to be doing, chances are you will definitely need what you get. You will definitely get what you need to be, and that's where true confidence comes from. At the end of the day, confidence comes from when you trust your process, not the outcome. You stop chasing a number or chasing this or that, and you start attracting. You become unshakable. You're becoming the person that you want to be by doing this, and that's what I'm saying. Like, this is a habit, but it's more so just like a way of thinking in general. And a way that you guys can actually start practicing this is when you catch yourself when you're griping about the outcome and when you're so worried about the outcome. Like maybe your chest is tight, or you're overthinking, or you're obsessively checking something, right? That's the same thing with this YouTube channel. Like at the point of me making this video, we're at around 9.5k subs, and I appreciate every single one of you guys. If you're watching this video, please consider liking and subscribing, sharing it with a friend that could benefit from this. I appreciate every single one of you guys. But at the end of the day, like, I'm not even sitting there looking at the analytics. I'm really not. Like, it's tempting sometimes, but I'm honestly not looking at it because I enjoy doing this. And do I want to make money off this? You're damn right I do. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, of course I do. Like, but I also enjoy this, and I want to create a community where people can talk to each other and people gain value after watching my videos and listening to my voice. And that's what I'm hoping to do here. And I'm not obsessing over the analytics. If this channel has 9.5k subscribers 12 months from now, will I be happy? Probably not. But at the same time, if I'm consistently putting out videos week in, week in, week in, week out, I would have to believe that we're going to have more subscribers, or we're going to have more engagement 12 months from now. So, unless the world gets nuked or something, which we all don't know. But the point is, I'm focused on the inputs. The result is subscribers and people maybe hopping on calls with me, or people, engaging with the content and sharing it. That's great. I appreciate every one of you guys that does that. But at the end of the day, I am focused on inputs, putting the content out there and trying to make it good quality content for you guys. So practice those daily, right? Those conversations, the goals, facing rejection, whatever it may be. Don't disconnect, but detach, right? Still care, but don't obsess over the end result. And when you let go of what you can't control, you give yourself back power. The habit has changed how I sell, how I love, and quite frankly, how I live. I still care. I'm still locked in, so to speak, but I'm no longer at war with the things I can't control. And that shift that I mentioned, that's where peace lives, and that's where real power begins. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you gained some value out of this video. Like I said, if there's any topics specifically you'd like me to cover or me to touch on, feel free to email me. Email's in the description. I also have a couple links in the description, from my sales program, from just a one-on-one consult call. If that's ever something you guys would like to speak more about, definitely feel free to click the link and schedule a call. But regardless, stick around. Please consider subscribing, and I will keep pushing out the content for you guys. Talk to you guys in the next one.